Hi everyone, Christina here. Welcome to day 25 of the holiday card series for 2018. Today is officially the very last day of the holiday card series. However, I'm not ending with the holiday inspiration from here all the way up till Christmas. I'm going to have plenty more. In fact, before we get into today's card, I want to let you guys know that in, I guess, about a week and a half, I'm going to start a whole week of mail art. And it's all going to be holiday mail art. So put that on your calendars. It will start on December 9th, and I can't wait to get going on it. It's going to be super fun. So between today and December 9th, I'm going on vacation. I'm going on a cruise. This is a cruise that I've had planned for 2 years, and I'm super excited. I'm going with my friend Christy. So I'm going to take a little bit of time off. I rarely do this, not post any videos whatsoever, but I'm going to take a true vacation and just run off to the Caribbean. So I will be back on the 9th. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, ready to get into the holiday mail art week, and I hope you guys are excited about it. So for today's card, I'm going to be using a stamp set and die from Mom Elephant. The stamp set came out a couple of months ago. The die is brand new. Hope you guys really like this idea. They have a lot of stamp sets that have little critters or little animals, and this die is perfect for them. You're going to see what I mean here in a minute. So let's get into it. The stamp set I'm using is called Little Snowman Agenda. Tons of little snowmen. Looks like there's 20 different snowmen you can choose from. And then the die I'm using is called Circular Grid. I'm going to start out by cutting that out of some white cardstock, and then I'm going to place it over the top of another piece of white cardstock and trace the circles onto it with using a pencil. This is going to give me a guide for where I need to stamp all of the snowmen. The snowmen are going to be somewhat in the center of each circle. However, they are going to kind of hang off the bottom a little bit so they're sized just perfectly. So I'm positioning each of the snowmen that I've chosen over each of these circles. I've kept one circle without a snowman so I can put a greeting in it. So I'll transfer those stamps over to the door of my Misty, and then I'm going to be stamping these in intense black ink from Simon Says Stamp. And I ended up stamping these twice. In fact, the first time I stamped them, I pressed the stamps a little too much and they squished and the lines got too bold. So I did end up putting in a fresh piece of white cardstock. And then I was very gentle with how I stamped these, and I stamped them twice. The first time I put the door of my Misty down, just gently walked my fingertips over each snowman, and then I stamped it a second time just to solidify those lines and make sure that everything was stamped perfectly. So now I'm going to be using my Copic markers to color each one of these snowmen, and I'm going to be doing very, very simple coloring. I'm not doing any multi-marker shading or anything like that. Started out by adding a little bit of blue shading on each snowman, and then added some pink blush cheeks. I then added some of the different elements, coloring some of the elements on each snowman, and I tried to keep the color palette somewhat limited, so I used only one shade of red and one shade of green, and just kind of moved my way around this entire area to make sure that I had those pops of colors in all the different areas. In order to add a little bit of interest on the scarves, I added some stripes, and I also colored in all the different things they're holding, like the cup of coffee or hot cocoa, and the book, and the wreath, the broom, things like that. So I did add a few other little elements that needed additional colors, like the brown on the broom and the cup of hot cocoa, things like that. I then went in and added some solid colors for each of these circles. And I used the same color palette, and I just repeated the colors. So you're going to see the colors on the caps in the top corner of the screen. But basically I had two reds, kind of a more mid-tone and a dark. And then I also had two greens. And actually I think I had three greens. I had more of a limey green, a mid-tone green, and then a darker green. And then I also had an aqua shade. And this is one of my favorite holiday color palettes, different shades of red and green, plus a pop of an aqua blue. I think it looks really, really fun. It's traditional, yet still a little bit retro, or up to date. It's It's hard to describe. To me, it feels traditional color palette, but with that pop of blue, it seems a little bit retro, but also updated, if that makes sense. It's a little bit strange in my head. But I added each one of these colors behind the snowman, making sure to go all the way to the edge. I did miss one little corner on one of these circles, and you'll see it at the end of the video, but I did go back and fix it later. So after I had all of these colored in, I came in with a Jelly Roll white pen. This is the number 10 bold pen, and added some snowflakes. And I will add some additional snowflakes before we're done here. So I placed that die cut frame over the top just to make sure everything was good. And then I prepared the area for the greeting. So I'm going to be using a greeting stamp from the Holiday Messages stamp set from Mama Elephant. And this stamp is actually all in one line, and I want it to be on two. So I performed some stamp surgery and cut those the two words apart. And then I placed them on my design, put them on the door of the Misty, prepped the area with an anti-static powder tool, and then stamped the greeting in Versamark ink. I'm going to be doing some heat embossing, so that's why I used an anti-static powder tool. So I'm going to be putting some white embossing powder over the top. This is Alabaster embossing powder from Brutus Monroe, and I'll tap that off to get the excess powder off of my project, and then I'll hit that with the heat tool until it's smooth and melted. I'm going to prep my card base now, which is made out of some Nina Classic Crest Solar White cardstock. This is the 110-pound version, and I scored that at 5.5 to create a top folding card. I then took some Tombow Extreme adhesive, applied that to the front of the card, and then pressed my colored piece down onto the front of the card, making sure to line up those corners just perfectly. I then took some very narrow foam strips from Darice, and I applied them all around all four edges of my frame, and then I put the narrow strips in between the circles as well. It's the perfect width to go between all of those circles. I removed the release paper on each one of those foam strips, and then very carefully placed the circle frame die cut over the top of the snowman. So the card's almost done. I'm just going to add a few more snowflakes to a couple of the circles just to give it a little bit more interest. And that is going to wrap up the card for today. I love this color palette. I think it's so playful and fun. And those snowmen just crack me up. They have so much personality in each one of them. I love all those snowmen, and I think they're perfect for the last day of the holiday card series. I always like to have this card be a little bit special, and I really love how this one turned out. I hope you guys do too. And if you love the holiday card series, share it with a friend, share it with family members, anyone who likes to craft or just wants some holiday inspiration. I hope you all really love it. And so on screen, before you guys head out, I've got the day 25 videos for the last 2 years, plus I've got the rest of the years listed down below in the video description. Thank you so much for watching this year. I appreciate you, each and every one of you tuning in each time, and I hope to see you very, very soon. The crafting doesn't end. I do this all year round. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys in a few weeks for holiday mail art.